Nevada, and the creepy abandoned ghost town. Boomtowns began to spring up everywhere after a seam of silver ore was found in Nevada in 1859, drawing immigrants from the eastern United States eager to make their fortune. Newly minted prospectors moved on around the turn of the century, sometimes abandoning their structures, residences, and mining equipment behind. Currently, the number of ghost towns in the state is above 600, surpassing the total number of inhabited cities in Nevada. These living ghost towns are mostly found in the state's northern region, and some of them even have a small population. These ghost towns are worth visiting. Paradise Valley. Paradise Valley is appropriately called, with mountains enclosing numerous rivers and creeks that irrigate lush crops and ranch lands on 3 sides. Additionally, it's a prime illustration of what Nevadans refer to as a living ghost town, with about 100 residents calling the neighborhood home, though none of them reside in any of downtown's buildings other than the bar. This edifice seen above was formerly the Mika House, a historic house constructed in 1885 that served as a department store, post office, and government office before becoming what it appears and feels like a scene from a movie. An old employee who was believed to still live there in a spectral form provided the horse with the attention it needed when it broke into the building and became stuck for several days. This is why the horse was in such a happy and healthy condition when it was rescued. The modern-day prop city of Tecaticup. The Tecaticup gold mine in El Dorado Canyon was shaking things up in a big manner in the middle of the 1880s. Not only did this mining camp produce gold, silver, and copper worth millions of dollars, making it the richest and most well-known gold mine in southern Nevada, but it was also notorious for a level of lawlessness that Hollywood could never hope to capture on screen. The settlement itself, now called Nelson Ghost Settlement, was established by Civil War deserters who reasoned that this remote area would be the last place the soldiers would come looking for them. The mine dried up, and a sudden flood destroyed the region in typical Boomtown fashion. Numerous cinematographers have been drawn to how some of the buildings have survived. Tours of the Tecaticup mine and the area that has developed into a movie, TV, and magazine shooting set are available today. Among the props is the plane crash above, which is a lasting memento from the cult classic 3,000 Miles to Graceland. Blair. Blair had its chance to become a boomtown, drawing in gold-seeking prospectors from all directions, but hers was a little less prosperous. Due to the mining boom, the area around Tonopah saw significant growth, resulting in the establishment of Blair and Silver Peak, among other locations. Constructed in 1907, the enormous mill with 100 stamps was the biggest of its kind in the entire state. The mine had dried up by 1920, and Blair's 700 citizens had moved on to better and bigger things. A few crumbling structures remain today, such as the stamp mill shown here, offering an unrivaled vista over Nevada. Stokes Castle towers over the Reese River Valley. Built in the late 1890s for wealthy railroad mogul Anson Phelps Stokes, Stokes Castle towers over the Reese River Valley near Austin's western boundary. The structure was built after a true Roman tower. It remains a sturdy reminder of the town's opulence during the mining era today. At the time this tower was built, the mine had dried up and more than 10,000 people had left Austin in search of better opportunities elsewhere. His castle was vacated after he and his family resided there for less than a year. Dyer and the neighboring Fish Lake Valley. The White Mountains, which span California and Nevada, are home to 13,146-foot Boundary Peak, Nevada's highest peak. The peaceful town of Dyer and the neighboring Fish Lake Valley are located directly beneath it on the Nevada side. A couple of taverns, a restaurant, a store, a gas station, and a charming little B&B are among the amenities. The town hurried to rescue many of the ancient structures and moved them all to one convenient location for you to visit when they discovered that the original settlement, Fish Lake Valley, was succumbing to weather and time. The Fish Lake Valley Heritage Center is that location. Everything about this place is amazing, especially the town's original switchboard, the filling station itself, and the post office you see above. It's like a wonderfully curated, miniature ghost town. Fort Churchill. The remains were in an ideal condition of what enthusiasts for ghost towns refer to as a state of arrested decay by the time Nevada State Parks took over as the property's manager. Not so badly damaged to the extent that you can no longer recognize them, not perfectly conserved either. This historic military fort has a rugged western atmosphere that makes the gritty aspects of Nevada's past come to life in front of you. In summary, the purpose of building Fort Churchill was to provide protection from hostile American Indians for early settlers, explorers, and Pony Express riders. That proved almost unnecessary, as it did for most places in Nevada, and the fort was completely abandoned in 1869, just 8 years after it was constructed. Fort Churchill is rumored to be a thriving paranormal hotspot, but summertime Milky Way visions are the most extraordinary sight we can always count on. Aurora. Although Aurora, a ghost town in Nevada, isn't much now, it wasn't always like this. Have you heard of the incredibly spectacular Bodie ghost town in California? Aurora, which is located about 12 miles over the border, was essentially a sister ghost town. If you've ever been in Bodie for any length of time, you are aware that it appears as though the residents just moved a few days ago. Everything is above your wildest expectations in immaculate condition. Beds are made, pantries are filled, the day's lesson plan is put on the whiteboard, and so on. That was Aurora's condition up until the 1950s, when someone stole the locally quarried bricks used to construct the buildings by dozing them illegally. Fortunately, it still has one of the most interesting furnace and stack structures in the state, as well as one of the state's most fascinating historical cemeteries, where senators and well-known prospectors from the past are buried permanently. Mark Twain was one of many famous prospectors drawn to Aurora, but that's a different story and not just a tall one. Taibo, the head frame. Taibo boasts one of the state's best-preserved head frames. The head frame, which towered over the mine shaft and dug ore as well as people out of the ground, was built above it. The large, unprocessed rock blocks were then brought to stamp mills by the miners so that the valuable minerals could be extracted. Fortunately, Taibo still has a strong structure and a lot of its original features, some of which you don't always get to see. These include the original ladder, the winch wheel crank mechanism shown here, and even the entire hoist house, which serve as the control room and guidance for the power of the head frame. Unionville Cabin, Mark Twain. A young man from Missouri named Samuel Langhorne Clemens traveled to Nevada Territory in 1861 with his elder brother. Here, Clemens would develop a dislike for office work, turn allergic to shovels and gold mining, take up the pen name Mark Twain, and develop an ear for the vivid language, fantastical stories, and flamboyant characters that would eventually inform a career in writing and forever influence American humor and literature. Though Twain traveled to and wrote about numerous locations in the Silver State, he first discovered the hard way, as he writes in Roughing It, that not everything that glitters is gold, right here in Unionville. Luckily for readers of Twain's books and history buffs alike, the cottage from Unionville where that particular scene takes place still stands. You would love spending the night in it just as much as he did, but fortunately, the quaint old pioneer garden is located only down the dirt road, allowing you to extend your Pilgrim 10 experience with a gorgeous, dreamy stay. The Unionville Cabin of Mark Twain, 1.5 Ajowaras to the Nestleck. A young man from Missouri named Samuel Langhorne Clemens traveled to Nevada Territory in 1861 with his elder brother. Here, Clemens would develop a dislike for office work, turn allergic to shovels and gold mining, take up the pen name Mark Twain, and develop an ear for the vivid language, fantastical stories, and flamboyant characters that would eventually inform a career in writing and forever influence American humor and literature. Though Twain traveled to and wrote about numerous locations in the Silver State, he first discovered the hard way, as he writes in Roughing It, that not everything that glitters is gold, right here in Unionville. Luckily for readers of Twain's books and history buffs alike, the cottage from Unionville where that particular scene takes place still stands. You would love spending the night in it just as much as he did, but fortunately, the quaint old pioneer garden is located only down the dirt road, allowing you to extend your pilgrimage with a delightful, dreamy overnight stay. Please share your insights in the comments section and become a subscriber to receive supplementary content. I am grateful for your consideration.